So happy to be with you here this morning in so many different ways. So welcome. Welcome to anybody that's new, especially this morning. Yes, and welcome to our regulars who are always so grateful to have. So this is our Mind the Moments Thursday morning gathering brought to you by Harvard Pilgrim Healthcare and Tufts Health Plan. And those of you that have joined before know that this is a place that we invite experienced mindfulness instructors to speak with us about what mindfulness means to them and to just process as a community how we can incorporate these important practices into our daily lives. I'm Suzanne Rowe Palacino. So grateful to be here with Tara Palacino, founder and director of Harvard Pilgrim Healthcare's mindfulness program. What's that?
Your daughter is Tara Palacino. I'm Tara Healey.
That would be my daughter, who's not quite yet the founder and director of, no, just kidding. Thank you, Tara Healey. Isn't that so funny?
I didn't want anybody to be confused, not that they would have. But yes, Suzanne has a daughter named Tara.
Yes, isn't that funny? My default sometimes. So thank you, Tara, for keeping me in line. So we'll start off this morning with a question for the group, as Tara Healey usually does. And then she'll lead us in a guided meditation practice. It'll be about 12 minutes or so. And then after that, we'll have a time for questions and answers. And just if there's anything on your mind, you're welcome to type it right into the chat. So do go down to the bottom of the screen, open up your chat. And there's an option way at the bottom of the screen of the chat to click on everyone, and then people will be able to see your comments as you type them. So with that, yes. What is the question you have for us this morning, Tara?
Yeah, well, I actually want to start off by reading a very short poem by Mary Oliver. And it's so funny because this morning I picked up a book of her poems that I haven't looked at in a very long time. And I just randomly opened it, which I'll sometimes do with books of poetry and just, see what poem is being offered that morning. So this morning, I opened this book and the poem is called I'm Not the River, and I want to read it. And then the question that I have is related to this poem because I thought it was so relative to our practice and the kind of qualities of mind that we are trying to cultivate in meditation. So, I'm not the river, that powerful presence, and I'm not the black oak tree, which is patience personified, and I'm not Redbird, who is a brief life heartily enjoyed, nor am I mud, nor rock, nor sand, which is holding everything together. No, I am none of these meaningful things, not yet. And I just love how she ends that. And the things that stood out to me right away were the qualities of patience and groundedness or solidity, of joy, and of presence. Those are kind of the four things that she highlights in this poem, and all of which, through the practice of mindfulness meditation, we're actually learning to see our habits of mind with greater clarity so that we have some agency over them and we're not, sort of blindly driven by some habit patterns of mind. And they just felt so, it felt so positive. The whole poem felt positive that anything is possible, that it's possible through this work that is not easy, that we are able to see more clearly our own, patterns and habits. And so my question related to this is, if there's one thing today that is something that you would want to focus on or practice of the four qualities, so presence, patience, a sense of joy, and solidity or groundedness, if there's one of those that feels most kind of resonant for you today, that would be a good quality to practice with, which one, given the circumstances of your life, what might be happening in your life, which one feels most, something that you would want to, and Suzanne just put that question in there. and each of us will go. I have something sort of that made me laugh a little bit yesterday, and I feel like there's something that I could be paying attention to, which I'll tell you in a minute. But Suzanne, how about for you?
Patience.
Okay.
Patience in a lot of different ways, patience.
Yeah,
And that quote is just so hopeful. It's
I
so,
know.
and I
I
think
love how
because,
she goes, comma, not yet. Like,
yeah, in our practice yesterday on Wednesday, we focused on community and the hopefulness of there's so much
oh,
community building. So yeah, I
yeah,
love it. So yeah.
yeah.
Tara, what's your
Yeah, so for me,
experience?
I think many people here who are regulars know I recently lost my dad, and yesterday I was taking a trip in to see my mom, which because of my father's illness I hadn't seen her in a few weeks. And so I was in the car and I was getting ready to make a left onto a very, very busy street. But the road that I was on was really narrow and there's a blind corner. And there was a ton of traffic. It was later in the day. And so I the woman behind me started honking. And I just got so contracted and I felt so angry that it actually shocked me. It shocked me that I had such a strong reaction. And and I actually visualized getting out of the car and having a chat with her and letting her know that she wasn't seeing what I was seeing. I mean, I wasn't going to yell at her, and then, just the capacity to see that reactivity so quickly. I was actually grateful for that, but I would say that patience is something that I could pay more attention to. It's like when you think you've got something down pretty well, and then you're shocked humbled really into seeing that, you don't. And also our life circumstances play into all these things, but so anyway, I'd love to
Yes.
see what people.
Yes, I get what you're saying too, and you don't know the life circumstances of the other person too,
Right,
which is
right.
always a totally complicated different element.
Yeah,
So
yeah, completely,
so
completely.
solidity,
Yeah,
patience, patience
patience.
with me and others.
Huh.
Alicia said red bird, so she's a joy person.
Yes.
Uh,
Yeah.
presence, groundedness, presence,
Yeah.
patience, patience, patience. Love
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, a lot of patience, solidity.
Groundedness,
You
yeah.
know, uh, yeah, it's over the years in practice, there are certain qualities that you can actually focus on, and some people will focus on them for months, for weeks, months, and sometimes even years. Like the loving kindness practices, there are people who've done just like 3 months of practice where that is all they're doing is focusing on kind of opening the heart. So it's a really interesting to pick one thing. And the idea with that is that you notice when you've been provoked, and pay attention to, or when you're impatient. And so you're really noticing what it feels like to be impatient in the body. So there's a lot of patience today. And for things like groundedness, when we feel unsettled or even airy, like that kind of air quality, bringing attention to the feet, that's so helpful with groundedness. So there are little things that you can do to practice, noticing the opposite of what you're aiming for when it arises, and in a curious, receptive, kind way. It's not like, I mean, yes, yesterday when I felt that, contraction of my body and I was so provoked by her, it's so not worth it, but I couldn't help it. Like it's not as if I had a choice. It entered me fully. And just the gratitude that I can see it, that I can actually see that has happened and then breathe with it. And
Yeah,
sort of,
before you react. Mhm.
yeah, and kind of chuckle a little bit at myself, like, wow, that I had a big reaction
Yeah.
that was unexpected. And it's like, the Dalai Lama, somebody asked him if he ever gets angry. And of course he says yes, that anger enters him. It's not as if he's free from that, but he has a way of relating to it when it does arise and he sees it so that it's not harmful, that he's, that the reactivity factor is tamped down a little bit.
Yeah.
I think we can.
Yeah, someone, Teresa, really related to what you shared. So, it sounds like that's all four of those experiences are very relatable.
And it's nice to pick something to work on too, just to pay attention to throughout the day. It's a really, really good practice. Even paying attention to how we speak and how we listen, like those are things that could be integrated into a practice day, and where it's just highlighted. So
These practices, it's just when you mentioned, Tara and I were talking earlier how during this time when she lost her father, how grateful she was for her practice. And gosh, it shows up in so many ways.
yes.
Sometimes it doesn't at all. Sometimes it doesn't immediately jump in, like maybe
Yeah.
the initial reaction with the car, but it eventually does. And
Right.
it just
Right.
takes a millisecond for it to show up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah. Like,
very good
yes.
stuff.
Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah.
All
so
right.
thank you for
So
that.
let's go ahead and move into practice. And I think many of you know that I have longer stretches of silence, maybe than some of the other practices or other teachers. I think it just varies, but I think it's useful to, I'll just settle us in, but then I'll be quiet for several minutes. And all right. So standing or sitting, and if you want to, if you're sleepy, keep your eyes open or stand. That's always kind of a good rule of thumb. So settling into the posture that feels like it's going to be best for you today. And then making any micro adjustments so that the spine is straight but not stiff. And just kind of notice the whole body from your activity of the morning so far. What kinds of sensations are you aware of? Noticing the points of contact with the parts of your body and the surface that you're on. And on your own, take 2 deep breaths as a way to settle any surface tension. So a deep inhalation through the nose, and see if you can make that exhalation just a little bit longer to help bring on some natural relaxation. And moving from whole body awareness to sound. So aware of sound that might be in the room or outside of the room, without labeling what's making it, but just simply hearing, just receiving the sound. And beginning to bring awareness back inward, allowing sound, of course, to remain as it will. Sounds arising and passing in your environment, also outside, but allowing those to be there and bringing awareness back inward to the whole body. And start to notice what is going to serve as an anchor for you this morning. Is it your breath? So as you breathe in and out, where in the body do you feel the physical sensations of breathing? Where are they strongest? Could be the rise and fall of the abdomen, might be around the chest, even the nostrils, air entering and leaving. It's also fine to use another sensation, a point of contact that you're aware of, that you can just keep returning to each time the mind wanders. Remember, it doesn't really matter what you choose to anchor your attention. What matters is the quality of awareness you can bring to it. So you want to work with something that's going to feel solid, like you can feel the sensations in the belly or the nostrils, or the soles of the feet on the floor, or the palms of the hands, either on a desk in front of you or on your thighs. So you have some options. So go ahead and anchor attention. And I'm going to be silent now. And noticing where the mind is without judgment, softening the body and returning to your anchor. And again, noticing where the mind is, softening the body and returning to your anchor. And as we bring this meditation to a close, may we be peaceful and at ease. May our heart be soft and open. May we be safe and protected, and our bodies healthy and strong. And may the merit or the benefit of our practice be for all beings everywhere. And if you feel ready, you can open the eyes. And whether they were open or closed, always helpful to reorient to the room, maybe stretch a bit.
Thank you so much, Tara.
Yes.
Interestingly enough, that practice was a good amount of time, but it seemed to just fly by.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. It was probably a little over 12 minutes, might have been more like 13 or
The silence
yeah,
is nice too.
what's that?
The silence mixed in is nice.
Yeah. It's important to have that, have those periods of silence, because that's where you're really it allows for you to see what's coming up for you. What are the habit patterns that are emerging for you? It's both guidance or minimal guidance. It's all good.
Yes.
Yeah. But there's value in having longer spaces. I definitely would love to read the poem once more before we sign off. But before that, if anybody has anything they want to share, if you have read a book or come across an app, we can think of this as a community that shares resources. So feel free to offer, anything that you've come across that you want to share, or any questions that you might have, or even comments, even just a comment about how that practice felt for you. Is this, what are your feelings about the stretches of silence?
Yeah, isn't it interesting how we, as practitioners, I don't know if anybody notices this, but I am less uncomfortable with points of silence in my life in general.
Do you think because of practice, just having, yeah.
And I really, in conversation, I really value it. If you ask someone a question and they're silent, you really know that they're internalizing whatever you said.
Yeah.
And being
Yeah.
thoughtful about the answer rather than, sometimes when you feel like someone is answering your question even before you asked it and had, something they wanted to say anyway.
Yeah. No, totally. In fact, I was teaching a listening class yesterday, mindful listening, and that's one of the pieces that's so valuable about bringing this kind of awareness to conversations is allowing for silence, allowing for pauses, and even if you feel discomfort with the silence, that's actually okay. Just feel the discomfort and allow it to be there. Yeah. Because, it's silence. The pauses are really valuable.
I know you're going to read the poem again,
Yes.
so I wanted to give you that chance to do that, because that is just a lovely way to start and
Yeah.
also a lovely way to conclude.
Yes. So bookend with this. So thanks everybody. So the poem is by Mary Oliver. It's called I'm Not the River. I'm not the river, that powerful presence. And I'm not the black oak tree, which is patience personified. And I'm not Redbird, who is a brief life heartily enjoyed. Nor am I mud, nor rock, nor sand, which is holding everything together. No, I am none of these meaningful things. Not yet.
Just love it. I could hear that all day, and I'm actually going to try to keep it in my mind for the rest of the day. So
Yes.
thank you
I
so
love
much.
how she describes trees. You just heard descriptions of nature, but yeah. So thank you everybody for joining this morning, and good luck with practice today.
Yeah, thank you, Tara. It's so nice to have you here, and nice to have our community here. So
Yes.
thanks to everyone chiming in. It makes it such a rich community.
Yeah. Thanks everybody. Thank you.
Lovely thoughts and intentions.
Yeah.
Have a great rest of your day. Thank you all.